I'm not sure how to word this question. It's almost like a two-part question, and I feel like I sort of know the answer, but I want to hear your thoughts. Um, I guess the first part is how, in your experience of Kundalini awakening, how is it that you initially become so connected to this um, energy of Shakti? And the reason why I asked that is because previous to my own Kundalini awakening, I really had no substantial or really any knowledge of like Hinduism or really any spiritual teachings outside of like my childhood exposure to Catholicism. And when I was going through my Kundalini awakening, I saw visions of Kali in particular before I even knew really anything about her, what she was, and I felt myself like embodying a lot of the things that she represents, and there were just a lot of little wild things where now I feel really drawn and connected to these teachings, but I'm just why this route, I guess. And I hear you talk about you how connected you feel, and I just wonder if this is something that just kind of it's the way that it manifested for you too, and that's how you are now on this path, or does my question make sense?
Yeah, totally. Yeah. So why a Hindu deity when you come from like a Catholic background? Is that essentially it?
I mean, yes, even though I really have not been attached to any, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
anything really.
Yeah. So there's different ways of looking at this. Some may say that Kali is an actual real deity out there that's just came to you. Others may say that she is an archetype, a sort of symbol, a logos in the collective consciousness that we all have access to, and she appeared in a way that's you can relate with, a way that makes sense for you. It's somewhat mysterious, you could say, and I don't know the exact details of it, though I relate closely with the manifestation of Kali, who's that fierce feminine deity, tongue out. She's a warrior. She cuts off the heads of demons. She's quite fierce. Um, I find myself relating with her more and more uh, in the way that I relate with this energy, in the way that I relate with this process, with the divine feminine, with the Shakti flow of energy. Um, so why her? Now, some people may think that I'm Indian. I'm not Indian. I'm from Pakistan. I come from a Catholic family, and I was raised in Canada. So, like perhaps you, Dre, I had no connection to Hinduism, to yoga, to none of that. It just drew me in, and it made sense to me. It felt right. I attribute that to prior lifetimes work as well. That's why it feels right to me. Um, Perhaps that's the case for you as well. In a prior lifetime, you were maybe in a sort of Hindu context, a Hindu culture, relating with Kali in a more direct way. And so she appears to you in this lifetime, and it feels somewhat familiar. It makes sense to you. It's sort of, recalling back to this prior lifetime you may have had. This is why some of us, we may be called to Egypt, we may be called to Sufism, may be called to all different types of traditions that don't really have much of a relationship with our background in this lifetime. It's because it's so familiar because of previous lifetimes. That's one way of looking at it. For me as well, Kali just felt, I mean, Hinduism in general, but the divine feminine in general, the divine feminine more specifically felt really fresh to me because nobody in my upbringing had talked about it. Nobody had programmed me around these goddesses. I was programmed around God being the man in the sky, God being Jesus. So I had all these associations with God being the masculine. When I went to church as a kid, the priest, they were only men. One time I asked my teacher, why can't women be priests? And she said, it's a long answer. I can't tell you right now. I'll tell you another day. I don't think she had the answer and she lied to me. But it was a genuine question I had. I said, how can this be right? We're talking about equality and all this stuff, but women can't be priests. What's going on here? So this really was like, it was like conditioned me to see the masculine, the patriarchy, in all this certain type of way. So when I found the divine feminine teachings and the divine mother, it was so fresh. and innocent, and I had no preconceived ideas about it, that it really spoke to me and I can relate in a fresh way. I wasn't programmed um, at all in this life because nobody talked to me about it yet. So that's also another reason why it just makes so much sense to me. Um, as well, throughout my journey, I've had, the feminine has been the greatest teacher for me as well. So women in general have been the greatest teachers. Romantically, my teachers as well. One of my first spiritual teachers was a woman, so I just relate with the feminine. Speaks to me quite closely. So these are some ideas. Maybe you can relate a little bit. I'm not too sure, but I hope that can help you.
Yeah. Thank you. I think my I do believe that there is something with past lives and a connection that's it's just nice to hear a perspective, and yeah, it's just something I'm still trying to understand. So thank you.
Yeah, not a problem at all. And I think it just also serves the feminine is just it's the divine mother. She's nurturing, she's loving, she'll hold you, she'll take care of you, she protect you. It's all of that kind of stuff. Whereas for me, the masculine, though it has all those qualities, because of maybe the way I was raised in the culture, I don't feel like I can trust the masculine to hold me like a baby. And sometimes that's what the way I need to be held, like a baby throughout this process. And so the divine feminine serves that for me. And perhaps many of us as well can relate.